Greetings, welcome, and salutations, listeners of XEP. Welcome to our community episode for August 2024. We're coming in a bit late. We're coming in a little later than we intended to. So apologies for that one. Schedules got rearranged. So we're doing our August episode the early part of September. We still hope you enjoy it. This is an episode where we welcome members of our community onto the show. Today we're joined by the one and only Silkenit. Hello, Silkenit. How are you, my friend?
Hello, everyone.
He's fresh off a 4-week hiatus on vacation with the family, so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
to talk to him.
semi-hiatus.
Semi-hiatus. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Of course, I am joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logan. How are you, sir?
Ahoy, ahoy. It's good to be here.
It is good to be here. We've got a good, week to talk about news because Concord just got shut down after less than a week on the market, which is, less than 2 weeks, I should say. Pretty wild, all things considered, to see that happen. Then you've got news of the last Notria developers coming out, and Phil Spencer helped connect the dots, and now they're gonna have a game on Xbox. Pretty wild. We're on the eve of Space Marine. August had Star Wars, which many people found disappointing, even though it had serviceable reviews and very playable game. A lot of things to debate and dissect. I know I'm really excited to talk about a couple different things in the gaming realm myself. It's been August was a pretty wild month in a way that I wasn't expecting it to be. What did you guys think?
I mean, I was glad that the games that came out that I think we were interested in came in at scores that we find acceptable. So I was happy to see that. Like, having a game come in at a 7 to me is just like, yeah, no, that's still good. It's just a matter of, whether or not I'm going to actually pick it up now or hold off and get something that I know I'm going to want to jump into even sooner and not have enough time for that game. So I'm totally fine with that. Everything else going around, like PlayStation, though, feels like a dumpster fire right now, and I feel bad for him, man. It's
kind of like we're looking across the table, being like, first time.
Yeah,
welcome.
You should use that template.
Yeah, we really should. Like, oh, is this your first time? Because Lord, as Xbox fans, we've been on the other end of games getting shut down or disappointing launches. I mean, Redfall, I think, is the comparison people are making, but Bleeding Edge, right? And how many other examples of games where it just didn't land. Crackdown 3, a game I love. I really enjoyed that game, but it didn't do what people wanted it to,
Yeah.
It sucks given that game was in development for 8 years?
Yeah.
8 years, millions. Go ahead.
New IP, man. New IP.
Yeah, it's not really 8 years of full development. Just a couple years of concept and setting up the studio, and so it's more like 4 or 5 real.
Yeah, the last year is really just them kind of partying on beaches.
Yeah, you see it, the quality of the game.
Yeah, checking in with the game testers to see if they're awake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The game's not bad looking. The game looks great, high production value, looks very playable. I didn't play it myself. Just no interest in that kind of a game. So no disrespect in that sense. Just it all looked very good. And
all the reviews I read or watched that really focus on the game, not on the. It's not a free to play game. All the discussion around it. If you focus on the game, it's competent hero shooter.
That's what I've heard too. Everyone that I know that's played it said the same thing.
It just seems too little, too late.
Luke,
for the market.
I've noticed the end of August, for whatever reason, and maybe I'm gonna just toss it out there and say that that the Gamescom fervor is kind of punishing the games that release at the end of August. But it feels like the last 2 years we've had games launch at the end of August that have been brand new IP that just did not sway any judgment or anything. We've got Concord this year. Last year it's Immortals of Avium. It's like it's August, the end of August. Is Gamescom just a not good time to really be launching games, or is it just not a good time for games to be launching that are new IP?
That's a great question. I think launching a new IP in a live space is really difficult. Too many games are trying to be the next Fortnite, the next Call of Duty, the next Destiny.
Yeah.
That's just not a niche that you can truly break through unless you do something extremely unique and special, right? Even with the Marvel IP, Marvel Rivals isn't really breaking a ton of new ground into that genre of gaming. I think Overwatch kind of had its peak, and there are other elements to it. And so I don't think it's necessarily August that's the problem. I don't even think it's Gamescom that's the problem. But I think as gamers, we have very short memories, and we demand instant satisfaction or near instant satisfaction.
It's true.
I put out on socials, like, right now, it really hurts to be a PlayStation gamer. They've not had any first party single player IP that they built their sales on in the last year, 2 years, since Spider-Man 2, I think it was the most recent. So the reason that people buy into PlayStation, they've not had that reason, as it were, for quite a while. And the PlayStation's sales are dipping as our Xboxes, right? This isn't like a glass house type thing. But for PlayStation gamers, this is new territory, not since the PS3 era. And then to see Concord come out and it's their first big first party thing in a long time, and it kind of gets mopped and trounced. I mean, they shut it down within a week, like 25,000 estimated copies sold. That's roughly $1 million made out of a roughly $100 million project. At least that's what I read. That's nothing. That's bad. That's not good at all.
Yeah.
The thing is, Astrobot, the reviews are dropping tonight, or a lot of people are recording their reviews tonight. Astrobot looks incredible. People are going to be swimming in that goodness very soon. So I don't know if it's Gamescom or August that's the issue. I think it's short memories, because how high was Xbox this past summer? And that's just been kicked in the nuts several times over.
Yeah.
What do you guys say? So you look like you?
Yeah, I don't think it's August either, because when you look at Immortals of Aveum or Redfall or Concord, they all had 3 different reasons to not work. Like Concord is just not hitting the audience, the targeted audience, because it's already on other games. Redfall was a technical mess, more than anything. Immortals of Aveum was good, but it was the release window of Baldur's Gate and Starfield around. Like it was surrounded by other bigger names.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's August, because you would see the same reason for it to fail. Like if every game that comes out in end of December, nobody has money. They all already spent for Christmas gifts. So you release a game in January, you won't sell it. But it would be true for any game except GTA 6.
I mean, that gives me like a little bit of hope that, maybe it's not like the timing of things, and people are going to pull games out of that time window because they just aren't selling. I always do wonder, like, if it has to do with new IP. I feel like that's just like a itch I always end up scratching, because it doesn't ever feel like a lot of people want to give new IPs an opportunity to shine. And unless they have like studio backing and like publisher backing, it's harder for them to like get a lot of headway, a lot of marketing and stuff. So I always wonder about, like, maybe it's just the fact that new IPs are harder sells.
Yeah, I mean, new IP in our little circle of gamers, like in the know, following podcast and news, we want new IPs because we love the hobby. We want to discover new things.
Yeah.
The average gamer has maybe 4 hours to play a week. They don't want to take a chance on $80 games.
Yeah.
So they buy a code or they play a free-to-play game because it's no investment.
And there's so much competition in the free-to-play market, and so many people vying to get people just to try their video game. Having a price tag barrier on something really does make it that much more difficult in the live service space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the live service seems to be a bit of a hot topic. I've seen a lot of discussion around like this game not doing well because of the $40 price tag. This game could have been, could have had a better chance if it was cross-platform. It's like all the marquee like little check boxes that people want to knock down every time something like this happens, where like a live service game fails. And every time that happens, I always feel like I can come back to all the other like live service games that we've seen come and fail, and it doesn't ever feel like it's because of it not hitting the right check boxes. It's just that for the games that come out, they're just not stellar games, and because the barrier to entry is so low for so many of them, it's like, well, I've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in my other free to play games as a service. So why do I need to necessarily, like, if I'm going to spend money on a game, or if I'm going to spend money on cosmetics, I'm going to do it in something that I know is established and will continue on, like a Call of Duty or a Fortnite kind of situation, as opposed to a fresh IP where it's like, I mean, I'm already invested in Overwatch. Why would I want to jump ship unless it's something that's amazingly compelling? And a lot of people wait for that zeitgeist moment to be like, no. Like, I think Hades is a good example of a zeitgeist moment with a new IP, where it's like, no, everyone recognized how good that game was and they all talked about it. So even the people that don't usually buy into new IP were like, okay, I guess I got to try it. Everyone's talking about it, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. I think that vying for your attention and in that zeitgeist moment is a big deal. I think that's what benefited Helldivers too so much, was that zeitgeist moment. Everyone jumping in, wanting to try it.
Memeable.
Yeah, but they had, it was memeable. They had a slogan. They had like Concord does nothing like that. It's like I don't like to repeat that, but it looks like Guardian of the Galaxy at home,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Everything about Concord
like, there's nothing. Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, there's nothing like to put it above the rest, or to differentiate it enough.
Yeah. It's I think everything about Concord, at least to me, looks very derivative. Every aspect of it is derivative. The Guardians of the Galaxy and the character design, the gameplay and Overwatch, the gunplay and Destiny, and I just see elements of it. And I don't know if it is. I'm talking about like just looking at it, right? Like I see the pistol and it reminds me of Destiny. Everything reminds me of something else, and I don't see anything at first glance as a casual fan that set it apart, right? I don't know if that's the right thing. I'm not advocating that as a position. I'm just saying that's what's happening to me.
I'm kind of curious because you brought up a really interesting point there, is that everything looks derivative. Why did that work for Pal World and not for Concord?
Is there anything else like Pokemon out on the market? The closest thing would be what, Digimon that died?
There's Cassette Beasts. Soon Beastie Balls, like Temtem.
Temtem's big. Temtem's a really big.
Yeah, as a DLC right now coming up. So
yeah.
All right. I hate even asking this question. Is it because they have guns?
Concord has guns?
No, I mean the Pokemon. The
thing is that Pokemon is Pal World is an open world survival game with a Pokemon type monsters and mechanics.
I mean, that's as derivative as it gets.
Yeah. But
how did that work?
Can't argue.
Because Pokemon is fun by default.
It's people wanted to. So here's the reason why I bring it up, because Pal World to me was memeable. The instant I saw the grumpy face on the Pal that was like hitting with the mine on the rock.
Yeah, that was my
sold. People that were tying up and beating the lamb pals, and like, you got the memes, like if it had memes associated with it, and that created a zeitgeist, and that's why people wanted to check it out, because it cost the same. It was a new IP, but it did significantly better because of just the things that it had in there. It was derivative as heck. And it makes me just want to sit here and think, like, does your new IP, even if it's derivative, have to be meme worthy for it to succeed? Because I guarantee you, if there were memes going on about Concord, people would be looking into it being like, oh, why is this funny? Like, what's going on? Like, I want to know what the joke, I want to be in on the joke. And it would probably drive more engagement.
Memes work, but you could also go the exact opposite and have a really big drama story with a lot of emotions and plot twists. Yeah. And I mean, where we are now in games, you have to be derivative of something. Mm-hmm. Very few games will come up with a new genre or mechanic that nobody has seen before. Very little.
The
Balatro has some, Plucky Squire.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying there isn't, but a lot of them, like a roguelike is a roguelike. It's going to take something from Hades or Dead Cells or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong about
that. You need something to
compare it to, describe it with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
everything's like Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, like every climbing mechanic is like Breath of the Wild now.
Mm-hmm. Luke, I was trying to bait you in on that because I know how much you and Joe were hitting on Ains about how every game that you played was like a Zelda Breath of the Wild, and he hated that.
He really does, but like for such a long time, Breath of the Wild was the barometer of open world games.
Oh yeah,
Elden Ring
should be.
I think to a greater extent, but it's been so long, and I don't think Tears of the Kingdom landed the way they perhaps wanted it to, in the same way zeitgeist wise. Not to dunk on its fails or anything like that. I just mean, in general, Breath of the Wild was special because it was new. It's kind of like God of War Ragnarok. Like, people don't talk about God of War Ragnarok; they talk about God of War 2018.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So shout out to Rick Davis in chat, as well as Jalen Gil Diaz, and of course Nisa Hauer and Red Beast hanging out with us. Thank you guys for being here.
Rick, love to see your anime waifu profile pic.
Isn't that from?
I
don't know what it's from. I don't know. I was like,
it's from P5. It's Persona 5.
It's Persona 5. Everybody, relax. It's Persona 5. I knew that. You knew that. We all knew that.
We all knew that.
We all knew that.
What's the guy's name?
So, a guy from Persona 5. So let me ask you this before we wind down the idea of Concord. Is it a bad thing? Hello, Steven Xbox Gamer. Is it a bad thing that Concord shut down this quickly? That's a genuine question. You think so, Silken? All right, talk to me, Silken. Tell me why, and then Logan jump in.
Yeah. Because they didn't give it a chance. Like there was people playing. There still has people in the game right now, jumping off cliffs, trying to get the platinum before the game shuts down. Like, yes, it was not a lot of people, but you could have kept the server alive. You know, it doesn't cost them that much. And if you really want to switch to the free-to-play model later, you just make a bonus skin or something for people that already own the game. You know, an incentive for them to not feel like not stolen, but
like they were
robbed.
Forgotten.
Robbed. So there was other avenues that they could have taken a bit more time.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks is like it's almost like Kevin said, Muffin Man on other Discords. It almost looks like a tax write-off.
That's just exactly what it looks like.
just before their financial year shuts down. like we are two weeks away from it. Let's do it right now, just to not lose too much money.
I'm very curious because what I got from the verbiage of their announcement of this is that they're taking the servers offline. It didn't feel like they were going to cut production. It just felt like they wanted to pull the game off, offer refunds for now, because at the moment they have an indefinite time frame on if they want to continue to actually work on this game and address some of the issues, which is where I think one of my thoughts was that this game needed to have a beta to lead up more of the attention and give people an opportunity to address some of the concerns with like a 6-month lead on this post beta to be able to address any like major player concerns that came up as a result of the beta.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the how the game was launched is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had like what 3 months between like the first real reveal of the cinematic trailer to open beta for pre-order only, that they opened to PS Plus just to get some numbers.
Yeah.
And we knew almost nothing of the game. And I saw that on threads, like someone saying like Deadlock from Valve right now is doing really well, but Deadlock has been in beta like for a year now. It was secret, it was on invite, so nobody, a small number of people knew about it, but they were working on it for a year before it came out to the public.
It's same thing happened with Apex Legends. Apex Legends Shadow dropped on Super Bowl Sunday, but the reason that game worked was because they had streamers and content creators helping beta test under NDA long before the launch. And they actually got that feedback and was able to address the concerns that they had about it, the balancing issues and stuff like that. So, I mean, I wasn't there for the production, so I can't really speak to like how they went about it, but I do think that, you know, if we'd had more time with this game, and I'm kind of disappointed in Xbox in some cases in this kind of scenario, because they have that preview program. And it worked great for Grounded. I don't know why we aren't using that more. I mean, we're looking at like Hades 2 in the background for Silkenit. That Hades 2 released, you know, next year, but it's available in Steam Early Access right now. You can spend money on it. So they reviewed it, but it's like, what's preventing Sony and Xbox from review or from releasing games in this early stage to get a better gauge on if the game that they're making is actually going to, especially Sony, considering their already troubled history with trying to make live service games. It seems like there's so much opportunity for them to start utilizing some of these other programs to start testing some of this content to get a gauge. Is this, you know, could they have released Factions if they'd put it into early development for release?
Yeah. Your voice is starting to fade on you from that concert.
Oh, yeah, man, dude, it's bad.
So I watched an interesting interaction between Portal Player and Rick Davis in chat, and both are making valid points, I think, in a couple different ways. So one, it's absolutely not any small deal that Concord shut down. That is not a small deal. Like you cannot ignore that a big Sony first party title shut down. That's not small anything. I think the point that Portal Player might have been saying, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Portal Player, because I'm very much in the camp that it's a big deal. I agree with Rick on that one. However, I think the bigger thing is that maybe what he's getting at is that people have short memories, and this is going to pass pretty quickly, given that there wasn't a lot of hype for it anyway. And we're going to be looking at, you know, Astrobot in a few days. Then you've got all this content that's coming across multiple platforms through September, October, November, December, which is a historically crowded window. And we know some of that stuff is going to be full of bangers. Like, there's some good stuff on the way, guys. Some stuff I've played, some stuff others have played. And you've got your generic heavy hitters like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Starfield's update is coming through.
The Zelda.
That's right. Echoes of something or another.
Wisdom.
There you go. So like, I think maybe that's the idea, is that people are going to pass up on that one. So that may be what we're saying here, but there's no way that it's not a big deal that Sony is shutting down the game less than 2 weeks in. And to your point, Logan, about like early access, I have to imagine it's money, right? But I think Redfall would be incredible if that game launched in early access. Yeah. And they'd processed and done some of the things they wanted to, because it was on a good track. That's not to say the right track, because we just don't know. But like, I was seeing a lot of good stuff. The frames per second was good. It was cleaner. The updates were looking good. AI was getting better. Like, there was good stuff there. And like if it had launched this time of year, oh my gosh, like spooky time. We're getting into spooky season. Yeah. Side note: I watched a really bad spooky movie, Evil Dead Rise. I thought it was really bad. It was bad. I didn't like it.
It's like a recent one, isn't it?
It's a pretty it was bad. Yeah, you don't need to watch it. Nothing happens in it.
I've yet to be truly impressed with Evil Dead movies.
I don't get it. Right? I feel like I'm missing out on something. It kind of bums me out. But so it goes. Damn. So, gents, any final thoughts on Concord shutting down before we move on?
The fact that this is the second game that Sony has offered refunds for since Cyberpunk 2077 is at least a little more. It's a little more. I feel better about Sony being a little more cognizant of like the potential failures that they're going to be coming through, and potentially, looking at this and thinking like, okay, we need to open up our systems a little bit more to allow people to get refunds for games like that are just not going to cut it. Mm-hmm. But I think there was a huge discussion around games as a service in the industry that I think no one will ever agree on. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth jumping into that.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So how about you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just too bad. Like they could have done like Ubisoft does a lot, like just keep on going and fix it along the way, mm-hmm. and hope for people to come to the game organically.
Fair. All right. Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, we had the point of community episodes is to get to talk about the latest news and, of course, what we are playing through the month of August. I'm curious if there was any news story that stood out in the month of August that you wanted to talk about. Black Myth Wukong, Last Anatria, I don't know, anything else on your minds, or do you want to jump into stuff that you want to play? Or that you've played, I should say. Any news story that's like pinging out in your brain?
I mean, there's stuff that I threw in the private chat. That's The Verge had a nice article talking about the Acer handheld game, handheld system that's coming out, called the Nitro Blaze, and it's interesting to me that we are continuing to see like a continued growth in like the handheld market. Because I'm generally interested to see like where these all kind of fall into place, because at the end of the day, like, I think handhelds are here to stay. I think the Switch is something that genuinely has like introduced a lot of interest in that marketplace. So it's really great to see that we're once again starting to get another entry into that system. Now, whether it holds a candle to the other handhelds, I don't think that it will, but I think it'll maybe come in a little bit below where most of the other handhelds are right now, because those handhelds are friggin' expensive.
Yeah. It's like, Steam Deck is reasonable, but that's the only one.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the ROG X like $800 or something?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Ooh. So, I don't have that to spend on anything. Like, nothing.
Not even a PS5 Pro?
Not even a camper?
Yeah, PS5 Pro. Gosh, man. All right, quick aside. PS5 Pro is wild to me because we've yet to max out the potential of these systems, but also the price of the PlayStation 5 in Japan has gone up for like the second or third time. So who's this for? Like, who is this for? Especially when we know we're knocking on the door of next gen, like 2, maybe 3 years from now. I don't know. And like, I just don't see it happening, but I'm also not against it. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know who it's for. As the console market shrinks, you want a mid-gen refresh or a mid-gen update when you're already raising the price because the returns are so low and the console market's dipping. Strange.
Yeah, especially like if they release it like they did the PS4 Pro, like in November, people won't buy it because they are going to wait for the Switch 2.
Pretty much.
They wait for the Switch 2 price, buy that, and see later.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, most of the people that buy the Switch aren't going to care at all about what the specs are. They just want to know that it'll play the next Switch games.
The next Mario, the next Metroid.
The backward compatibility.
That's going to be huge, actually. I really hope that as a as a Nintendo fan, them having a backwards compatible like system once again, like their normal handheld systems have been forever. Dude, I can't wait for that. The fact that
Well, forever. A 3DS won't play any Game Boy Advance game.
The DS did, but not the 3DS.
DS and the 3DS, but they are the same.
Oh,
it's just the 3D screen.
I love that 3D. That 3D screen was exceptionally well thought out. No glasses 3D.
I thought it did a good job with it as well.
I love playing Star Fox 64 3D.
I maintain the second best handheld of all time was the DS Lite. The DS Lite was my jam. You could do anything. You could play Brain Age. You could play your Game Boy Advance games. You could blow into the microphone to puff up a balloon in Mario Kart. It was crazy.
I'm not going to touch that one.
DS Lite was awesome. Oh, I see.
No, I know. I'm not going to touch that one. No,
come on.
Whatever games you want to play, buddy.
So I put in chat. I know at this point we've talked about it so much, but I know I would buy an Xbox handheld. But it would just sit there because I'm at home. Like I mobile game a lot.
Well, it depends what they do with it.
You would 100% do it because I know that you would buy one to be able to sit next to your wife on the couch and play games and have it like native.
Oh, you might be right.
Or if it's native and not cloud and not like the Portal on a lunch break,
Yeah. Okay. Fair. You sold me, guys. All right, I'm in.
You're like, oh, I'm going to buy it, but I'm not going to play it. I know you would 100% play it.
You think I would?
And you'd be talking about it too, just the same way that you were talking about your little Razer Kishi, like Bluetooth
backbone. I love my backbone
thing. I know you, dude. You would 100% like I'm here to sing the praises of the Xbox handheld, like Cog with his VR, man. Like I know exactly how it would go. I can already see it.
Yeah, you're right. I hate that you're right, but you're so right. I'd be like, I love this thing. This is great. It's like Joseph Moran. He's like, Concord's the best game ever. It's like, all right, calm down. Calm down. Joseph Moran said that, by the way. That's Mr. Badbit. He said those words. Those are his words.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the stuff that I've been playing in August because I went on this deep dive and I want to talk about it, but I don't want to be first. I would like to hear what you guys.
For it. Dude, start talking.
Well, I'll twist my arm. All right. So the Doom 1 and 2 collection came out and I went on this massive deep dive because we had the Cliff Bleszinski interview back in the summertime. And one of the things he mentioned was that he was friends with Romero, and I've loved Doom since the old days. I just love Doom. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. I put it in the category of top 5 for me, like Arkham, Gears, Halo, Doom. Oh, that last one, maybe COD. I'm not sure. I don't know.
You see a pattern here.
Yeah, fair. I like killing monsters in games. That's the God's honest truth. So I went on this deep dive. I played Doom 1 and Doom 2 in the remaster, but I also played like all the stuff that was not released, box sale, standard numbered release kind of thing. So the expansions that Night Dive has done, the expansion they did on the Xbox Live way back in the day, the stuff that John Romero himself had made through like in Doom's engine called Sigil to kind of be the sequel. So all these like sequel campaigns that came with Doom, they're all in the package and it runs fantastically. The Doom 1 and 2 collection was incredible. And so I just went on this massive deep dive of playing these levels, getting to watch the game evolution in id Software and learning about what it has done with Doom as well as Quake. I just finished Quake 1 remaster. Didn't like it. Like pretty boring. It was really neat to see the technology like jump from Doom 1, Doom 2, because then they went to Quake. They didn't do Doom 3 right then. They went to Quake. And it was really interesting to see Doom 1 and 2 are very similar. And then the 3D design came into effect for Quake. Really cool stuff. But the levels were very drab. So I just jumped into Quake 2, really enjoying that, seeing the evolution and just watching it and go on this journey. Rick Davis correctly calling out that Sigil 2 is a part of the mods available in the Doom 1 and 2 collection. Yes. Absolutely. I have not played Sigil 2. It's the only one that I've not played because it wasn't included in the line items. But I find the Doom 1 and 2 collection to be this brilliant deep dive into history that I love it even exists. And the fact that we got it into Game Pass, then the Quakes 1 and 2 remastered were also available there. So you could kind of watch id's journey. Doom 3 is available. Like, you can just go on this journey through all of id's back catalog in the Doom and Quake franchises, which are akin to one another. Really enjoyable. I also snagged, again, deep dive. I also snagged Doom Guy. It arrived today. This is the book on John Romero. You already read it?
Yeah, long time ago though. I went to do a deep dive with
cool. I thought it was new. It's not new? No?
It might be another one.
You might be thinking about Masters of Doom. But it was Jose from the Nerd Chat that said pick up the book, it's worth it. So I did. And you know, as I deep dive into these games and the history and learn it all, it's been just a blast to kind of watch the technology and games evolve and see Quake 2 be so much cooler than Quake 1. If you like Halo, Combat Evolved, you should play Quake 2. They are, well, not the same game. They have so many similarities in terms of like retrospective. Really cool to see. So I've just really had a good time. I know I do these deep dives sometime where I just go down a rabbit hole, and I love them. I love when that happens to me because like I did that on Sonic the Hedgehog and played everything and learned all about Sonic and stuff. I go through these tangents, and I really enjoy them. They're fun. I learn a lot about them, and I had a blast with it. I can't remember what the last thing I was into was. Maybe it was kaiju stuff, but I just learned so much about the world.
Yeah, it was Godzilla. And then before that was Turtles.
Yeah. Cowabunga Collection, Shredder's Revenge, playing all the old stuff. I love that stuff. And now Rita's Rewind is coming out for the Power Ranger game. That's going to be really cool because Digital Eclipse and Night Dive Studios with their Kex engine are the best at letting you learn old games and play old stuff in kind of modern sensibilities. And so I just really enjoy when I kind of go on that stuff because I learned so much about the gaming, the world, the stuff behind it. That's what's been on my mind. And I'm super appreciative of the people in chat, Portal Player and Rick Davis, who are acknowledging my Quake 1 and 2 comments and stuff. Because like, you know, when you go on these deep dives, it's retrospective YouTube videos, right? That's all you really get people to talk about it with. But I strongly recommend the Doom 1 and 2 collection. It's so good. And then if you do deep dive on it, Quake 1 and 2 Remastered exists in Game Pass. They're all there. It's neat to see the history captured that way.
And if you play on PC, Quake 2 has the ray tracing.
Ooh, that's neat. Version. That's neat.
I didn't know about that.
Super dope. Quake, the remasters have Quake 64 in there. The 64 and N64 versions are in there. It's under mods. You just click it. It's like studio certified, the 64 version. Pretty wild. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Nintendo version. Yeah.
Like Doom 64 is its own thing. Technically half canon, like its own thing. But the Quake ones are just Quake ported into 64. It was really interesting. I thought neat. So
I recently jumped in to work on the challenge for the Doom 1, Doom 2 hardest level that you put out. It is definitely pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. I've never been really good at Doom games. And by the way, I did find it is Masters of Doom that I read like forever ago. So that was weird. But I feel like I don't know. The new book, I don't know what I'm gonna get out of that I haven't already gotten.
I don't either, but I don't either. I'm trusting Chipotle Bear for sure on this one. But I will tell you that Legacy of Rust challenge, I issued it to and any listener can partake in this one. I can't fund all of you. But the host of the various sister shows that we have, every host that beats the Legacy of Rust campaign, which is 2 episodes, on normal difficulty or higher, I'll donate $10 to an extra life of their choice. So I think potentially I could donate like 120 or 150, depending on the different shows involved. Yeah. But beat Legacy of Rust. It's a good campaign. It's really neat. It's really cool. It's the most recent campaign that Night Dive made in Doom 2. Super great. It's really good, but it is difficult, even on normal difficulty. But it's fun. Like, it's fun. So I think you guys will enjoy it. So
I was shooting enemies and they were shooting each other, and I got an achievement, and I was like, cool, I beat the game. That was it.
that's not how that works. Not how
No,
that
no,
works at all.
I'm pretty sure I heard like you get one achievement, you beat the game. It's part of the journalism review embargo thing that we have every time we play a game.
Rick Davis. Rick Davis says, "Be a real gamer, play it on ultraviolence." That's how it was intended to be played back in the day. I don't think Rick. If you can beat this thing on ultraviolence without like save scumming or anything, and I'll trust you, of course. I'll donate 20 in your name because I don't see it happening.
No. I already have the.
You already have the $20
I'm
one?
matching you. Yeah, I'm matching your 10 for anyone that does ultraviolence and and proves that it was ultraviolence. I will add a 10 on top of that.
Okay, fair enough. I'm there for you.
Yeah,
You've been gone, but this is the challenge now.
No, I was back when you issued the challenge, so I knew about it.
There you go. I hope people check it out. Too bad I missed the PS5 Pro talk, says Portal Player. There wasn't much of a talk, my friend.
Yeah,
there wasn't much of a talk.
I do want to address something that they did say though. That I do think that let's see, Xbox games coming out on the PS5 Pro will get the best version of the Xbox games. I think that they would have to program it specifically to take advantage of that hardware, and I don't think that the Xbox devs are really going to push to do that without an answer on their own ecosystem for it. That's all I had.
I was typing and I feel bad. I was typing to respond to somebody. What did you say? Can you repeat yourself? I'm so sorry.
And it gets on me when I get distracted, but I still keep the conversation in my mind.
I'm sorry.
We went from building little minis and playing with figurines to typing now.
Yeah. We're not playing with Godzilla figures, which now he's looking around for. And he's trying to find out why Godzilla isn't next to him.
Maybe I wouldn't have gotten distracted if I'd had him with me. Yeah. I've got to keep a fidget. I don't know, man. Sorry.
No, so the comment was that the PS5 Pro would have the best versions of all the Xbox games because of the better hardware, but it doesn't take into account that the devs for the games do have to take it. It's not like it's not like they're built for PC where the settings are just available all the time because of the design of the actual game. So if you get better hardware, then the PC versions tend to run better. They would still have to go back and optimize the Xbox games to take advantage of the better the better hardware.
I missed that. Can you say that again?
Again.
Too easy.
No.
Fair enough.
Go let my cat in.
Apparently, Cast Co-op made fun of me from being distracted. That sounds right.
Yeah, that does. Yep.
That sounds right. So that's some stuff that was on my mind because I really enjoyed that. I played more stuff, of course, in August, but that was the one that I really was excited to talk about just because I didn't want to take all of XEP proper talking about Doom, but I just really love that collection. So I hope people check it out. What about you, Silkenit? What did you play in month?
So during my vacation, I only had my Steam Deck. So I played some smaller games. So I went through Dungeons of Interberg. That came out in Game Pass too, if people want to check it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice game to just pick up, play. Like you play one in-game day, so you do one dungeon, you talk to a couple of people, and you can just stop there. It's a nice cutting point. So it's not a high commitment game, so that's really good for vacations and Steam Deck. And when I came back, some big games I was waiting for came out. So last week was Crypt Custodian.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Metroidvania where you play as a cat, breaking things. So that's fun.
I see.
It's a really cute game. Like the music is really good, and the Metroidvania design of the map and the abilities is really well done.
How long is a game like that? Because that cute aesthetic makes it look approachable, but Metroidvanias are usually in depth.
Yeah, I mean, I got 100% completion of the map in 11 hours on normal difficulty, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No, that's really and in game they added they have a system where you can just pay a little bit of the currency you can find everywhere to point at the map, put markers on the map on items you missed, so you don't have to like backtrack all the map.
Nice.
And sometimes miss something you didn't put a marker before. Or you pay. It's really cheap too. Like I completed the completion percent with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Visions of Mana came out too. So that's a JRPG, another one.
Yeah.
Because 2024 is like filled with either Metroidvania or JRPG.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that what you guys were saying about 2023?
No, 2023 was like more bigger names. Like you had Diablo, Zelda, Spider-Man. You had like big franchises. This year is really focused on these two genres. Well, that's my jam, so I pay attention to it. So, but yeah, on JRPGs alone, you could play all year long, no problem, with new game.
I'm very surprised that at least in our circles, it doesn't feel like that the JRPGs really get a whole lot of breathing room when it comes to the discussion. Like, and I always kind of wonder if the time that it takes to go through like a JRPG is usually too much for most reviewers to want to tackle, unless you're part of like an outlet where you have a little bit more.
It's not like JRPGs. People like think of Persona 5 and go like their mind go to 100 plus hours, but most of them are 20, 30 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Like
a lot
you just don't get sidetracked too much, and in 30 hours you're good to go.
I always think of them as much bigger projects than that.
Oh, they can be. Like I'm not saying that most of them are not 20 hours, but most of them are not either 100. 30-50 is kind of the middle ground. But when you see how much time people spend in multiplayer games,
I think the difference for me there is there's a large social aspect to multiplayer games that tends to factor into most reasons why people jump into them. At least it is for me. There's very few multiplayer games that I play solo. I think like WoW and Heroes of the Storm are like the two main ones that I'll jump into alone. But everything like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Destiny, Sea of Thieves, most of the other ones that I jump into for multiplayer are usually ones where I'm going to be jumping in with other folks. Whereas I feel like Japanese RPGs don't really cater to that co-op style. You can in some.
No, not really during the playtime of the game itself.
Yeah.
But you can have a lot of discussions on the side on what happens, the builds, the worlds, the theory crafting, etc. But yeah, it's not when you play. It's
the discussion outside of it.
Discussion around it, yeah.
Yeah. I always
and you need to find the people that like it too.
That too. Yeah, that makes a big difference. I always wonder if games like JRPGs could add ways for folks to come into like what was it, like Chrono Trigger back in the day? You could actually have multiplayer and have people drop in to pick up characters and play through it. No,
not on the SNES. Recently, you had the Grand Blue Fantasy. That was that is like that. You can go through missions like online, and it's a matchmaking, and you go do it with people.
Oh, I didn't know that was like that for Grand Blue. That's kind of cool. Options out.
And there was the Fantasy Star Online and stuff like that, but they were more.
No, this was like a Super Nintendo game because you had to use the multi-tap for it. But
Tales of Fantasia, Rick Davis suggested. Is that what you're thinking of? I wouldn't know. I have no knowledge base here. I have no knowledge base.
I'll
yeah,
never.
they are rare.
I'll never know.
Like it's not.
I will say for the JRPGs, just a quick plug. I got to interview the developers of Keylocker, Munana Games, and that was a really interesting interview for me because as someone who's not a JRPG gamer and fan, it was interesting to hear them talk both on and off air about influences, how they go about designing the game, and like how the genre, or I guess you would say the kind of the encompassing genre of JRPGs lets you kind of smash together some of the ideas that you get from other games. Because like in Keylocker, you could do the Guitar Hero style game. You had a bullet hell section of the game, and they had a bunch of other stuff like rhythm-based, turn-based action they could do. And I think the JRPG genre allows you to kind of experiment and tamper with gameplay in a way that maybe some of the other genres aren't as easy to do so with, if that makes sense.
We saw that with the latest Final Fantasy VII, where a lot of people, and you know, Silkenit, please speak to this if you feel like it. A lot of people weren't too big a fan on the fact that there was such a variance in the mini games that felt like different games in general, that people would much rather like just skipped based on the kind of
for me, it's just because there was too much of it.
yeah.
Not the diversity itself, but just the sheer number. And that if you want the platinum, you have to get the highest score on hard difficulty for all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's rough.
Why platinums are dumb.
Yeah.
Just go with achievement scores. You only need one.
Although I will, the games don't do this very often, but I could never stand when games would do like that. Get an achievement for being on easy. Get an achievement for normal, for hard. But like beating it on hard didn't unlock easy and normal. I never. That was sort of 360 era mess. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not really the case now.
Yeah. Well, I'm scarred and I don't like it.
Also, whoever does 5-point achievements, or not the 5-point achievements. What is
the not 5-point ones, like 13 or 16.
Yeah, not primes. The people that do like the 3 achievement points.
Mm-hmm.
Special place in hell.
Yep.
Just gonna throw that out.
Cannot stand it.
I don't care if it was a bug in it, so it was supposed to be 10 or an 8 or whatever. It's not a prime number. Get out of here.
Yep, I agree. Logan, oh sorry, so was that?
I was just like because I was watching my game list of August. So I tried Black Myth Wukong. Like I'll finish it at some point. It's just not on my priority now, but it's a really pretty game. If you have a high-end PC, it runs flawlessly. But you need a high-end PC. That's kind of the
issue
problem in itself. Yeah. And on the cozy games, the Fields of Mystria, which is a Stardew Valley, but in a fantasy setting with magic and a dragon and stuff like that.
Okay. Did you enjoy them?
Yes, Field of Mystria a lot because it's like Stardew Valley, but with a lot more quality of life stuff. So you can save whenever you want during the day. You don't have to go to bed. If you die in the mines or if you are exhausted, nothing really bad's happen. You don't lose money. You don't lose progress. Like it's whatever. You can drop stuff on the ground and it will stay there forever until you pick it up. So you don't lose any loot.
All right, Starfield, calm down.
So there's a lot of little stuff like that makes the game like flow a bit better.
That's good to hear. For sure. Logan, what about you, man? What was kind of your big highlight of gaming in August?
God, I don't know that I really had like a big. I guess for me it was just like Gamescom news in general. It was really awesome. Just like, dude, I'm ready for this fall. I'm stoked. There's a ton of games coming out that I want to jump into. We got some solid release dates this time around, so it felt great. I'm pretty sure Jeff Keighley is one day going to figure out how to put it on a show that actually like people like. So, you know, there's a lot of potential coming up in especially with like the Game Awards. Who knows? He may get something where people Silk Song doesn't exist. That's not a real game. Don't even.
You can no longer convince me that Silk Song is a real thing.
That's not a. It's not a real game.
It exists.
Is that is a Game Pass game, right? Is that what it's a Game Pass game?
Yes, it's a day one Game Pass game.
Cool, day one.
Like, I don't know, man.
When it comes out.
When it comes out, people are gonna go nuts for it. And I wonder if it'll have any impact on Game Pass. But it makes me chuckle because every Nintendo Direct, they have to be like, and we're not talking about Switch 2 or Silk Song. And I don't know what would get more hits, Silk Song or Switch 2, because at this point, they've both become these massive juggernauts of news media that it's just like everybody's asking about it. Everybody's asking about it. Everybody's looking for it.
So silly. But yeah, honestly, I just had a really good time with Gamescom. I think I did like 3 or 4 podcasts that week. And it was a ton of fun. It was so just cool to see like everyone's different commentary on it. Like what was a success, what was a failure kind of thing, and see like what people decided was their game. I still maintain that this game, like the Dune survival game, generally,
Awakening? Is that what it's called?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not a big Dune guy.
Those devs came out and blasted Xbox this past week. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't. Did they?
They came out and like, I'm paraphrasing and I could be wrong, so feel free to source me, anybody in chat or otherwise. My understanding is they came out and blasted the Series S because they didn't. They were saying something like they wish they didn't have to develop for it or worry about it or something like that. I hear you guys typing and I appreciate you while I vamp, but the fact that the Dune Awakening devs had this issue, the Last Inotria devs were blasting XEP or Xbox rather at the same time, and then you had Black Myth Wukong. Is it an exclusivity deal? Is it a time thing? Is it memory leak? Whatever it is, there were multiple like hits against Xbox hardware this week in the know of people who were paying attention, and then outside of it, nobody noticed a blip on the radar at all. So
yeah, no.
You know, there's that. Leo Saunders is chatting to you, Mr. Silkenet, from a comment way back. And people are using Threads. So there you go. I use Threads a lot. I like Threads a lot. It's a lot less toxic.
Yeah.
The good thing about Threads is you start fresh, so you can just follow a small number of people and not have all the bullshit of Twitter.
Yep.
You are absolutely right.
100%.
Big time.
Plus the algorithm's nicer.
Yeah.
So Dune Awakening, didn't know about the Series S thing. It's so funny to me that devs are like, oh, I hate developing for the Series S. It's like, well, yeah, nobody's gonna want to develop for the lowest pair of specs when you're trying to make a new game. It's so much easier to have computers that are so much stronger, and then they have to like, oh, what kind of concessions do we have to make? Got to make this game run on the Xbox Series S. It's like, do you want to sell your game or not? Like, what's going on here? Like, there's 150 million friggin' Switches out there. Why are you trying to tap into that market?
Well, Korkenstein made a good point in our Discord today. Essentially, like, we have examples of these 4, maybe there were 4 devs, if you count the Baldur's Gate devs, blasting the Series S and the Xbox system.
Well, there's been plenty of people out there complaining about it, but
thousands of games come out every year and do just fine. And so there was that was the comparison that I believe Korkenstein was making, is that these are the
he was making it for Enotria and the Xbox miscommunication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But
yeah, it's like the same problem.
I saw a comment today on X. Believe it or not.
Don't call it that.
It's X, probably Twitter. You have to
I will call it Twitter. I saw a comment that I think, let me see if I can find it. The Inotria comment talked about how they would like to officially thank Phil Spencer and his team for reaching out to us so promptly and helping resolve our situation. And that, you know, just kind of saying like, hey, you know, we appreciate you kind of like taking firsthand, you know, let me speak to your manager about this. Thank you for doing so. Here's the 5 stars. And I'll call it out. Destin Legary over at IGN tweeted about this and said that it's wild that companies need to call out Xbox on Twitter to get their game released on the platform. This should be a top priority fix for Microsoft and Xbox. I'm glad they're fixing the issues like this one and the Marvel collections, but this is insane. And I responded and I gotta say, like, this feels kind of like a blanket statement of like a, sure, it's easy to say that, like, armchair, you know how we usually do like armchair developers and we're like, oh, well, it's easy. Just, you know, make it,
just add co-op.
Just add, yeah, just do this. Because my comment was basically like, given the sheer number of titles released every single day, not even just in a month, not even in a year, the sheer number of games that are released every single day, I can't imagine that like a quote unquote top priority fix is even quantifiable to ensure every dev has access to people getting their games on their platform. Sure, there can be measures to assist, but at the end of the day, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And it's one of those things where it's like, I understand where Destin's coming from with things like this, but very much so it's usually, and you know, Luke, you can testify this with the interviews that you get, it's who you know. It's rarely ever like going through the base process and making sure it's like that. This is why we had things like E3. This is why we have things like Gamescom. It's who you meet and who you talk to. The connections that you make are more than just a normal form on a website. The best way for you to get what you are peddling, regardless of what it is, more exposure and more chance of actually succeeding. So yeah, if Entria's having trouble in getting like attention and not getting their game on the platform, if they speak up about it on social media, there's a much better chance to get a groundswell attention for it. Yeah, being a Karen works, and that's why it's so hard to look at this and be like, they need to fix this. It's like, there's no fix for this. It's just who you know, the deal you can make if your game is relevant enough, because there are just too many games coming out nowadays.
I've had a 125 plus developer interviews over the last 5 years. That's part of my pitch when I ask people to come on, right? 120 plus or whatever. And I would say all but 3 or 4, and I'd have to dig to find out which ones, have said that Xbox is a joy to work with the exception of 1 or 2 here and there. And one of the recent interviews, I say recent, I think it was a month and a half ago, 2 months ago at this point, Hypercharge Unboxed, the action figure game, that referenced a groundswell of Phil Spencer commenting on it, Sarah Bond commenting on it, saw direct response from those individuals and how much it impacted their game. And that's fascinating, because that's happened to a couple people. When Antstream Arcade went live for Xbox with those lifetime subscriptions, the Antstream people got a response from Phil Spencer, and that kicked up their subscriptions. So being a Karen does work, but if you can get the attention of one of those people, it is that much more helpful. And being timely helps as well. Again, have a whole section of our YouTube channel dedicated to interviews. 150 to 300 listens on average. Every now and again, one kicks up real sharp because it's topical, and that's amazing, but it's topical, fleeting in the moment. So it's just a matter of what's relevant at the time and what people have the energy to put their focus on. You know?
Yeah, so quickly something can get lost in the sauce if something bigger comes along the way. Like,
exactly.
There was conversations going on about how Raven Studios is having issues with the whole union stuff. Yes, how that isn't relevant with the way the news cycle works.
Yep.
Because someone isn't able to get on a platform, so the union conversation goes out of the zeitgeist. Raven's still stuck in a lurch Where's Phil to address that directly?
Yeah, you make a very good point. Very good point. Well, boys, as we wind down Silken It, I invite you, my friend. Is there anything you want to chat about that we haven't yet that was on your mind?
No, we touched on Enotria. We won't go to the Wukong polemic because it's not needed. Everybody knows it. Rick Davis talks about your Paris Olympic experience. I didn't touch Paris. I avoided Paris for the Olympics. Thank you very much.
Wait, you thought traffic would be bad? What?
Traffic, airports, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And prices too. Oof.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, I bet they were inflated as can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oof.
So, no. No, just upcoming games, like what I'm waiting for. Space Marine 2, Astrobot, Plucky Squire, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
Nice.
And they all come out about 10 days apart from each other.
Yeah, starting next week, it's just like slam.
And on top of that, you can add some JRPGs, Renatis, Metaphor, Refantasio, etc. that are coming. And
yeah.
So I'm not ready for fall because there's too much, and my wallet is empty.
Boy, do I know that pain. Right with you. Logan, what are you looking forward to playing next month?
Dude, Space Marine. Friggin' want to bash some faces in with a chainsaw and a sword and just like stomp around in giant armor. That's that. And
can I interest you in Doom Eternal? Like, come on, man.
You know what it is there's no like with Doom Eternal, it's the same thing, but I have to think about like the guns that I'm using versus the enemies, where it is so much more dumbed down.
I see.
In Space Marine, it's like I have a pistol and a rifle and a chainsaw sword.
Gotcha. Fair enough. That does make sense.
And it has online co-op.
That's true. That's the other part of it too, is I really want to play co-op. I really want to jump in and play co-op.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
I didn't either, and that's why I pre-ordered the game when Clint posted that in Discord. The roadmap and saying it was a multiplayer. I was like, okay.
That's why I wanted multiple codes.
Yeah. Well, I put in the request, Logan. The quick behind the scenes today, he sent me a picture. I told him I was going to take care of Space Marine for him, either by code or Patreon funds for him. And he's like, no, you don't have to. And I was like, shush, it's happening. We're doing that. And then today he just drops conveniently, randomly, for no reason, a picture of a Space Marine 2 just in the Discord, and like doesn't say anything. He's just like, oh, hey.
I needed to save the image. It wasn't like me cutting out the little like ad for the game that I want and like slipping it under my parents' pillow for Christmas or anything like that. I needed to save the actual image for the thumbnail. There was a reason. I didn't
like,
explain
Luke, don't forget
but I
what
was
you
going to
said
delete it anyway.
6 hours ago. Don't forget, bud. It's like,
I just wanted to add on Space Marine 2. Be careful on game journalism websites. Some of them have already published articles about the ending and to explain the ending. Yeah, Digital Trends, not to name them, already has an article, Space Marine 2 ending explained. So they have, on first paragraph, they have a warning like saying major spoilers, be careful.
Yeah.
But the game is not even out on the early access.
Man. That's wild.
People, I see it on, I'll call out IGN on Instagram. They're really bad at making their headlines like being like spoiler headlines. And they're like, you're never going to believe who dies in this game. And it's like,
I didn't need to know somebody would die.
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone was going to die other than the people that I'm shooting. But I'm pretty sure that's not who you're talking about.
So
what the heck?
So frustrating.
You wouldn't believe it. Tyranids are going to die.
Rick, you can get Rick double subscribed on Patreon by accident. He can't. Yeah, cancel it. Get Space Marine 2, bro. Get Space Marine 2. We are pro play the game. It's cool. I will take this moment as we are winding down, though, to thank the patrons of XEP at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. Normally, we have a big old crowd for our community episode, but we had to change time. So thankfully, Silkenit came back from vacation.
Just got the best.
Which, just the best. That's right, in your faces. We just really appreciate all of you for supporting XEP either on YouTube or on Patreon, because it helps us make all the things go around. Like I get emails like Canva's upping its price by like a factor of 4 at one point. It's like, whoa, little things like that happen, and then it's such an ease of burden to know that you guys are around and helpful. So all of that stuff gets re-upped in there. So we appreciate you guys. All right. Silkenit, where can people find you on the old socials, if at all?
Mostly on Threads. Yes, some people use it, Leo Saunders. At Silkenit, and same on Discord.
There you go. Captain Logan?
You can find me trolling over on X and Threads at CAPT_LOGUN. Otherwise, come say hi at the Export or Xbox Discord or the
XEP. You're tired.
I'm so tired. I'm ready. I'm probably gonna crash.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right, got
it. But yeah, you can find me over in the Discord, hanging out there. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna be playing Sea Thieves or Fortnite or something. I don't know. I got to get back into the COD beta before the day's out, so I can get my level 20 to get the skin, because I'm a slave to cosmetics.
All right, guys. Well, you can find me on Threads and Twitter at Insipid Ghost. Genuinely know that I appreciate you listening. We appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us, listening after the fact. All of it. You guys are awesome. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.
See ya.